Mr. Razdan, Mr. Kavle, Mr. Giri, other eminent workers and personalities in the hydropower field, and friends. A very moot issue of local participation and local adoption of the project as their own has been brought out by Mr. Razdan. So I will not really deal with it too much, and then being currently involved as one of the parties in this Uttarakhand dispute, so at this point of time it is slightly difficult for me to really dwell on that issue, because I have to really pilot that to the desired outcome. So I would try to concentrate on what is the plans, what is our aim for the development of hydro sector in India, and what can be the constraint. See, as far as the global trend is concerned, it is a very well recognized, reliable, proven and multi-utility resource, and most of the developing countries have adopted this particular idea. In fact, I mean, it is very interesting to see that in Canada, there is no electricity bill. There is basically a hydro bill. Whenever you go and rent a house, they will say that utilities and hydro. The owner will not even speak about the electricity. He will not speak about the power. That is the role of hydro that is playing in many of the countries across the world. And we are definitely one of the countries who is, in spite of having resources, is actually trying to actively lag behind. So it's a very difficult situation that we have to handle as the hydro professionals, and somehow ameliorate them. The electricity demand is bound to go up, because in spite of any amount of work that we do, any amount of we have to have the growth. Otherwise, we will be slipping back in the eras of droughts. And there, the installation of hydropower is the one which is going to really help us. I mean, see the kind of place we are keeping ourselves in when compared to, let's say, China or some relatively smaller countries like Norway. We are practically nowhere. And this is something which should actually, put us with a ringing bells. And now, as far as the capacity is concerned, against the 1,48,000 megawatts, we are yet to have about 31,000, 32,000 megawatts is yet to be taken up for development, and all our figures are painting a very, very difficult picture. We have a lot much more to do for the development of hydropower. As far as the generation is concerned, whatever figures we are now projecting, we can see the difficulties ahead. We can see the challenges ahead. I mean, as against something that we did in 11th plan, and we are trying to put a very huge figure under 12th plan. We have to really ask ourselves a question as a country: are we really geared up towards doing this? How we are going to do this? We have already eaten up to 2 years of plan. Practically, we have done nothing. And we are now required to do, we have got a target which we are now, like, almost one can say for sure that we'll be missing. And this is something which is a very, very alarming kind of situation all across the platform, because the hydropower is a field in which the government and the developers are basically one party. In many of the places, the relationship between the private developers and the government has been rooted in some kind of colonial eras. In those days and in those times, we used to have situations where somebody is a master, he kind of throws some largesse, and then there are people who will be simply trying to make good out of that kind of a largesse. But that is really not the case in case of hydropower. Unless the government and the developer together join the hands and work hand in hand, it will not be possible to really go and one look at these kind of targets that we are binding ourselves to. The situation is, as has been already brought out number of times, the situation is so poor, and out of all the sources that are available, hydro is the only source which can be scaled up. The other things, whatever we are targeting, we are all having enough amount of problems with respect to the nuclear, enough amount of problem with respect to the coal-based thermal and also the gas, which every one of us knows, and gas, which was once being cited as some kind of a panacea. And at times there used to be a kind of statements at some levels where we'll say that, okay, don't do hydro, we'll give you gas. That era has already ended. We don't have gas. We cannot really put in any capacity addition in the 13th plan. We are not even thinking that we'll do anything in the areas of gas. So what is really living out for meeting the peaking demand and the management is only the hydro. So we have a very difficult kind of situation that we have. And as far as the targets are concerned, our targets achievements are, as you can see, things are pretty poor. Especially you can see 8th plan onwards, things are not really very healthy. That is a very crucial date, because that was the time when the entire anti-development lobby started governing the dialogue, and at that point of time somehow it became kind of fashionable to oppose anything and everything. Anything that the government will say, anything that somebody will say, there will be enough number of naysayers with not in my backyard policies, and that has really reflected, especially in case of hydropower, to the utmost. We'll have a lot of problems if we try to move away from hydropower. In spite of the fact that the society has not yet been sensitized properly about the problems and about the challenges that the society will have to face if we try to move away from hydropower. A lot of issues are actually, getting mixed. Like anytime people think that somehow the government will be there to, make the power available to the people whenever they need, whatever way they need. There can be enough number of demonstrations and dharnas and cutting down the meter connections and all that, and we will be able to ask the government to give me some power. But then from where will you get the power? And in there, the fossil fuel based solutions are the ones which are going to be one of the worst solution that we can do for our country, because we will not have the adequate amount of renewable resources. The fossil fuels also have a limited time span. In fact, we have tried to estimate that just this Uttarakhand capacity, which is currently under such kind of an intense debate, if you remove that capacity from hydropower and put it into the fossil fuels, the situation will be that as much as 5 to 10 lakh hectares of land will be degraded over next 35 to 50 years in order to produce the coal for that particular hydropower generation. Can we imagine? I mean, if you consider the total submergence area of all the projects, including Tehri, you will not be really going there. And then a hydropower project, we have a 120-year-old hydropower project. Mulla Periyar Dam is producing electricity even today. If we remove the constraint of the FRL and other things which have come up because of some other reasons, that is producing hydropower today. And we can see our demands are going to increase only. Where we are going to, get this kind of land resources from there? Where we are going to get the land resources even for the solar power, which is being tom-tommed as one of the biggest sources of, renewable energy? Because solar power is also very, very land hungry. unless you have adequate amount of land, you will not be able to put either the photovoltaics or even the thermal cycle concentrators. And if you don't have those concentrators, you cannot really produce power. And on top of that, all the other solutions of power are all using consumptive water. Means any water that we bring in the process is completely lost. It will be evaporated. Nothing will practically get returned. In case of thermal power, almost 3 cubic meters per hour per megawatt is the consumption even at the minimum level. Typically, it ranges in the range of 4 and even sometimes a little higher if you have the inefficient operations. And in these cases, it's very easy to see that just about 15,000 megawatts of thermal power will consume so much water that actually you can provide drinking water supply out of that to something like 16 lakhs people town. That is the kind of impact we are making on our resources by way of neglecting the hydropower. So we need to really see and sensitize the situation very severely. And especially what I feel is that one thing that has happened is that when this particular kind of a dialogue actually got started, we as technocrats and bureaucrats in the government, because government was one of the prime sectors where we thought that we will be able to some kind of weather the storm by keeping mum. So we kept mum. People will come, make statements in all kinds of newspapers, every nook and corner. And the situation is that once you do that, once we have done that, a situation has come today that since the kind of a canard was repeated 100 times, the canard has started appearing as a truth. And even at the highest policy level, the situation is that you are now trying to defend the canards. Forget about the highest policy levels, even at the lowest level. You look at the children's textbooks. And most of the time you find that there will be situations where it will be said that this kind of development works are all bad. It creates a lot of problems. And any time you collect a gathering of young students and allow them to and request them to ask questions, and these are the kind of questions that will be given to you. It's a very severe situation where we have to, if we have to do this development, we have to bring the society back to the correct position. The pseudoscience has really gone too far. All these arguments, if you drill down in the fundamentals, you will find that they have got a absolutely zero or sometimes I would say negative kind of a scientific base. But then because of that, the whole dialogue and the whole country is now, getting at a stake where we will be harming ourselves so severely that whatever work our forefathers did and the fruits of which we are enjoying, like what Mr. Rajdan mentioned, like Pakra, producing electricity at 10 paisa and then providing the sustained irrigation for over the years to the entire northwestern Indian belt and making it the grain bowl of the country. Somebody did it at that time. That is why we are reaping the fruits today. And now if we are not going to do it, we are going to harm our future generations so much that later on when they will realize, they will probably never forgive us that we remained peaceful and we remained aloof, and then we found that the dialogue can be allowed to be vitiated. One of these things is, for example, this environmental cost. The environmental cost of hydropower is one of the smallest. You don't occupy a single inch of land. In fact, you release most of the land after you commission a project. All the other land that is required gets, whereas in case of all the other situations, you will keep on consuming the land. Similarly, in case of the carbon emissions, whatever carbon emissions little that may happen by way of construction, after construction it becomes zero. And on the other side, we continuously defend ourselves by that so-called methane gas emissions for which basically there is no basis. There is no scientific basis. And that has been repeated umpteen number of times, and you have this kind of a situation where you keep on defending methane emissions from the reservoirs. And we have got 50 years reservoirs, we have got 100 years old reservoirs, we have got 150-year-old reservoirs. We have not witnessed anything over here. And we will go to great lengths in writing all these things in our EIA reports. So these situations are something where we need to really work very strongly with the society. And if we do not do that, we have got solutions to everything. I mean, we are having practically anything that is really posed as a challenge. We have got the solution to that. All these adverse effects are something which are being termed as a effect which will be kind of irreversible and something you will never be able to do. Only problem that we have to really do is that we have to really market this particular developmental solution effectively to the society. This is something which is going to be very, very important, apart from the technological issues that we will have to do. The negative impacts in the major areas of concerns are the ones which we need to really work very closely about. And we can see that if we have to bring ourselves up to the European level or bring ourselves up even up to the Latin American levels, we have to go a very, very long way. There are, of course, cross-border issues which we need to really handle. There are issues with in Indus Basin which we need to really work. We also have certain issues with China, and they are very severe issues, especially in case of the Brahmaputra. We have to be very watchful, we have to be very careful. There is no need to panic, but then all the same, you have to start keeping your valuable cards in your close to your chest. If we don't do that, hydropower is not something which we can, like in a thermal power, we can say that, okay, I give the order today and in 3 years' time the project will be ready and it will start generating. That kind of things are not going to happen. We are looking at timelines which are going to be long, and then we, like an elephant, we have to keep moving slowly but steadily in those directions. Apart from that, there are issues which are quite important, especially from the point of view of planning and from the point of view of implementation. Because those issues in the earlier days, since they were generally done at a governmental level, where we used to kind of ignore, or we used to kind of give the financial aspect a kind of a second kind of a priority, and carry out the project in the way it is required to be done. But the same thing will have to be looked at even from the now the private developers also. There are very severe issues there, and hydropower, as I call it, is basically each site is like a diamond. Either you will have it, or if you will spoil it, you will never have it. They are not going to get it back. If a diamond is cut badly, it is gone forever. Let that be a Kohinoor. The fact is this: if we don't cut it well, it is going to go away. And at this point of time, we have to be very sure about that as a community from our other side of the table, that we have to see that the diamond is cut well. And in this case, and after cutting that diamond, we also see that it is marketed well. Thank you.